So there is a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie coming out very, very soon, and it doesn't look very good, but I think we need to be reminded that at the core there was a fantastic first movie, and it is time to reminisce with this terrifying horror classic. Yes, after 2,500 sequels that were a load of old arse, there is a classic at the beginning. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974, Tobe Hooper. I recently rewatched it. It's terrifying, guys. To this day, it is terrifying. And I feel like all the sequels since, I like the remake. I like the Michael Bay remake. It's one of the rare remakes that I like. But all the sequels were never able to even understand what made that first Tobe Hooper movie so effective, so visceral, so horrifying, so memorable. I think one of the main things that makes this movie thrive is the way it's so disorientating. It is a dizzying film. It makes you feel confused watching it. It's one of the most unpredictable films of all time. I feel like Tobe Hooper is an incredible director in terms of a slow pace, because there's a lot of times in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 where nothing's happening. Absolutely nothing's happening, but you were just along for the ride and in a state of confusion. Everything's weird, everything's off kilter. And that first moment where Leatherface shows up in this film is one of the greatest horror scenes ever, in my opinion.
Hello!
Just showing the character was terrifying enough. There was no music in the build-up, there was no massive jump scares, there was nothing. And this movie unfolds like such a nightmare. It's very like you're there. It's very kind of documentary type, but I wouldn't even use that term. I'd say it's very voyeur-like. You're observing, so you were there in someone else's nightmare. There's no music, there's no cues, you were just witnessing it. Things happening, bizarre, odd things happening. This incredibly horrifying character who comes in, the stuff of nightmares. Absolutely, the stuff of nightmares this character Leatherface is. And you just see him in all his uncompromising glory, and you were forced to watch, and it hits you so quickly, like that hammer blow to the character. So much impact to that blow, but it's like, whoa, holy shit, so much coming at you, this character, and then this hammer hit, and then slamming the door. It's like, what the fuck did I just watch? It comes at you like machine gun bullets. And I feel like Tobe Hooper, he's built up this slow pace, and then he's even able to get you on the edge of your seat and blown away without even using, again, those cues, the music. I'm so impressed that he doesn't really use music. There's low-key music at times. There's no jump scares though. It speaks for itself. And I think horror has kind of forgotten that. Now Texas Chainsaw, Leatherface doesn't speak for himself at all. It's jump scares, it's music, it's trying to force you to feel something, whereas Texas Chainsaw Massacre didn't have to. It was effortless horror. It was just, look at this horrifying character that we are forcing you to endure. So we meet Leatherface's family as well. Who's a bigger nutter, Leatherface or his family? It's up for debate, you tell me. One of them is obviously an absolute fruitcake who cuts himself at the beginning of this film as pretends to be a hitchhiker, gets in the van with the kids and just cuts himself, and he's just looking at them laughing and saying crazy things, and it's so uncomfortable. There's a real sense of just, you're so never okay in this movie. Nothing's ever okay. Everything is weird and odd and freaky, and I feel like that again, someone that's been lost in horror. The way to make you unnerved, forcing you to spend time in uncompromising and bizarre and strange situations, sometimes oddness, and not knowing what is going on inside someone's head, and strange situations are more horrifying than jump scares and monsters could ever be. I feel like Leatherface's family are nearly as scary as Leatherface because they're monsters in their mind, and I feel like the father is really scary in this because he's kind of on the edge. He joins in, but he also has moments where he's like regretful and he's like, oh, I don't want to be part of this, and it's like, well, you've just done all this shit, mate. This family are so far gone. any semblance of morality or empathy just gets overridden. And then they try and escape it again, it just gets overridden. It's just a terrifying situation. And one of the other strong things going throughout Texas Chainsaw 1974 is this sense of no escape. Now, I have always, when I have nightmares, the real fear for me, and it happens in my nightmares, I'll be in a horrifying place and I'll try and escape, then I end up back in that place. So I'm getting nowhere. I'm kind of running on the spot, getting nowhere, I'm not getting away. And that's what happens here. That's the whole thing. She thinks she's escaped a few times, but she ends up back in the hands of evil. When she's running through the woods into like prickles and spikes, cutting herself up with Leatherface behind her with no music, again you just hear that chainsaw, dead of night, running through. It is so, your heart's in your mouth, and it is just, time stops during that moment, because it's like, it overtakes you. Another thing about it is she can't escape, and as she doesn't escape, the terror gets infinitely worse. Like the dinner scene, that is just, apparently they filmed that for hours and hours and hours, and the actors were all traumatized. They were traumatized, you know, the actors who had to be the villains were traumatized, the girl was traumatized, and I think Tobe Hooper, it was so hot in that room, and he just wanted the authentic reactions. Stanley Kubrick, eat your heart out. And imagine being in 1974, the ending of this film. We see Leatherface swinging that chainsaw around. She's somehow escaped. And she's even laughing while she's crying because she's overcome commotion that she escaped. Then the film just stops and goes black. No music. In 1974, guys, if you were in that cinema, you would be traumatized. You would be traumatized. I would be traumatized. This movie terrifies me now. I cannot imagine watching this in 1974 and the effect it would have when the film just stops. What do you guys think of the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre? What do you think of the series in general? And what do you think of this new trailer, this new movie that's coming out? I actually talked about the trailer, and you can click on the screen now and see my video on that. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you're a movie geek just like me, please smash subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.